A moment of silence. Roll call.
Abbott.
Here.
Oswald.
Here.
Beers.
Here.
Dees.
Here.
Gelfen.
Here.
Jackson. Here. Mollica.
Here.
Whitaker. Sullivan.
Here.
Reesinger.
Here. Give announcements.
Yeah, a couple quick announcements. First of all, we were asked to notify that there are a few affected households up at Treasure Lake that did not opt to accept or get on the Zito fiber. And so it really only affects, I just wanted to make you all aware, it only affects, I think, like 5 households, and they were notified and everything. So in case you get a complaint, feel free to just direct them towards us. Another quick announcement, vehicle sales. At a previous meeting, you had authorized the sale of, I think it was about 5 vehicles, a few city, a couple township. Those were sold successfully. Thank you, Sergeant Josh, for, excuse me, I shouldn't call you out, your plain clothes right now, for heading that up, and Corby and everybody that worked on that. And then Lisa had an announcement about the lock boxes again.
Just a reminder that in your utility billing, you're asked to send them to a lockbox, and that lockbox is on the other side of the state, still going to S&T Bank or Farmers Bank, and they will be processing the payment. We will still get receipt through our system. They're working within our software, our financial software, and so we just want you to remind you that it's okay to send your payment by mail to that location. You can also still pay in person. You can do ACH or pay online.
If you're already set up, you don't have to do anything.
You're already set up. You don't have to do anything.
A public comment on agenda items. Do we have anybody?
Dave Lombardo.
State your name and where you live.
Yeah, Dave Lombardo, Treasure Lake. Yeah, I just had a comment on, we have an item here, the Planning Commission's response, and it was under correspondence. I don't know if you're going to dig into this, to say this is what they said. One thing that struck me is being a Treasure Lake, I never understood Sandy Township. Some ordinance pertain to us, we're PRD, some ordinances don't. And I'd actually like the e-bikes, scooters and stuff, because they're running all over Treasure Lake. I don't know what the ordinances are or aren't. So if you're going to talk about that when you get to this, I'd like to kind of know what you were looking at and know if Treasure Lake, you're going to be in a PRD. Again, it's confusing. I got to follow the building codes, but I don't have to do other things. Other ordinances don't apply to us up there. And it's kind of hit or miss. I would hope consolidation would help with those ordinances too. So I understand it's a little different and stuff. So I wanted more clarification when you get to this. It sounded like they didn't have enough information. So I don't even know what they're looking at. And I think as a resident of Treasure Lake, I don't think we have any ordinances right now on e-bikes and scooters and especially, you know, unlicensed vehicles, those types of things. So that was my comment.
Okay, thanks. Agenda. Minutes from the joint board meeting. You want to do these all together?
Yeah, we can just take it all as a consent agenda item at the end,
To how far down?
at the correspondence. All the way down here.
Okay.
So the minutes are for the joint board, the supervisors, the authority, and then the council meeting from last Monday. The fiscal report. Lisa, is there anything you wanted to highlight in the fiscal report? Nope. Any questions on that? Department reports. Any department heads that wanted to say anything in addition? Scott, Zach?
Yeah, I will comment on the 2 bridges, the one on West Long Avenue and 4th Street. They're 98% done. Dave Ward did a great job heading that up for us. So West Long Avenue is open. We just have some stream work we have to do. And after tonight, maybe everything's washed out of them, so we'll go from there.
I have a question about our treasurer report.
Sure.
Okay, in there it says that the mayor's been paid $2,400. I have not, and I don't usually take it, but it's supposed to go in the neighborhood fund. Somebody tell me about that?
It was transferred from the mayor's wages to the tree change.
I'm sorry. Can't hear
It
you.
was transferred directly from the mayor's wages to the community.
The neighborhood fund?
Yeah.
There's only $400 in the neighborhood fund.
Well, under our budget lines, in our system, it's there.
Why, on the statement, why does it say the neighborhood fund only has $400?
Because we didn't actually move to cash, it's a journal entry.
Okay, so how much is in that account, do we know?
I don't know, that's mine.
I mean, that's nowhere on here, am I correct? We don't get a report on that.
It's on the treasurer's report. And because I'm running the meeting, I can't get into it right this second.
Okay. Well, just get with me on that. I'm curious of what's in there. Because there should be 2 of my pays plus some leftover money from Domtar, and some money left over from the time before, but we still have $400 that's in the neighborhood fund that's listed, so it's a little confusing. And we kind of need to know that because hopefully we have residents, maybe kids on a project or something like that that come and ask for money. That's what that fund's for. We need to know what's in there to be able to say yes or no. So if we could do that, okay? All right, thanks. That's it.
Chief?
I'd just like to address, we had a couple pedestrian accidents on South Broad Street. So anybody that's coming through town, they really need to not be distracted, do the speed limit. Pretty good crashes on South Broad Street with pedestrians.
Both in the crosswalks?
The one was definitely not, I'm not sure on the other one.
Okay.
Is there anything?
Not that matters, but stay in the crosswalk.
Is there anything we can do to change the light relay so there's a longer time for people to cross? I mean, I know everyone runs the red light there, but what's the relay with all of that?
That I'm not sure of, that's probably would be something PennDOT would have to address.
And they are on a delay now as it is. There's extra time for the crossing there.
Okay. Thank you.
Fire chiefs?
I'll talk a little bit about the task force, fire task force. We did have our first meeting on the 13th. I thought it was a really good meeting, a lot of good conversation, a lot of good ideas going around. A couple of high-level things we talked about. We talked a little bit about the budget. There's been no budget set yet for the fire department. We did give Ben some homework, working on some things around that, about the viability of the fire tax, if that's something if the new city's able to do or not do. So working on that. We talked about how the joint board in the new city is going to handle the assets and debts of the host companies going forward. That was discussed. There were 2 requests that came from the fire subcommittee up to the task force. One was around changing, or the possible changing of the co-chairs of the subcommittee, and I believe that's an agenda item coming up here shortly. The request was to replace one co-chair, Chief Runyon, with Assistant Chief Gurin, now that Chief Runyon's on the task force. So they asked for that change in the co-chair. And then they also, the subcommittee also presented a letter, an idea that came out of the subcommittee around consolidation. I don't know if that made it on the agenda, Ben, or not.
The attorney did not get the letter ready, so no.
No, not that one, the consolidation.
Oh, it is on the agenda, yeah.
Okay,
under
yeah, so
correspondence.
everybody should have that up there. But basically, 5 of the host companies came together and sat down and come up with an idea to further consolidation of taking these 5 stations and going into one new station. So the idea behind that would be, further consolidation. At the end of the day, if this comes to pass, the fire department would move from 9 stations down to 5. So they wanted to put this idea up there. At this point, they're really looking for support from the joint board to flesh this out and see if it's feasible to be done. A lot of questions that we need answered, a lot of work would have to go into putting together a plan, and we don't want to move forward with that if the joint board doesn't think it's feasible to go forward. So you can all review that letter.
Chief, could you read that letter?
Can I read it?
Yeah, for the public. I think it's monumental
Yeah, I can.
what's in there and all the companies.
Yeah, members from Adrian Sandy Host Company number 3, Fourth Ward Host Company number 4, Friendship Host Company number 2, Goodwill Host Company number 5, West Sandy Host Company number 1 recently convened to discuss the future of fire and rescue services in the southern portion of what will become the new city of DuBois. These discussions were held with the best interests of the citizens, taxpayers, and public in mind. A shared suggestion emerged to develop a plan to ensure the long-term vitality of the volunteer fire service in this area. Preliminary conversations among the companies revealed a strong desire to collaborate, preserving each company's history while moving fire protection efforts forward in a unified manner. The 5 companies believe the most effective way to achieve this goal is by securing funding beyond the local tax base to construct a new facility. This facility would house newly consolidated fire companies formed from the 5 existing ones. The new station would be designed to serve the community for many years. Select members from each company are prepared to begin the planning process to create a proposal that could integrate into the broader City of DuBois consolidation effort. The group's plans address the following key areas: timeline and process for the merger, recommendations on apparatus to retain or reassign, identification of potential land acquisition sites, name for the new consolidated fire company, and construction budget, and list of possible funding sources. Given the proximity of the companies and the impractical recommendations in the recent fire study, it was logical for these 5 companies to begin discussions. Initial inter-company talks evolved into broader conversations, which led to a consensus that the fire subcommittee should be engaged to ensure alignment with the overall direction of the consolidation process. So yeah, these companies brought this to the subcommittee. The subcommittee voted unanimously to send it to the task force. Jason and I took it to the task force, presented it there, and then it's made its way to the joint board. So that's where it's at today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jason? Did I miss any department heads? Go ahead.
I wanted you to know that we received a draft chart of accounts and, not a budget really, but draft chart of accounts from Pennsylvania Economy League. Terry and I are working through sorting that out because we want to make some clarifications. We're putting numbers to that we believe are correct for 2026. PEL is coming on June 11th and 12th to spend 2 days with us to go through those numbers and make sure that we haven't forgotten anything according to their study and plan for the new city. And so I just wanted to give you an update on that. I'm spending a lot of time working on CBAs and pension questions with all of our union teams and working with Denise really closely on all the permits, titles, etc., giving them all the information they need for all of the movement of all of our licenses, permits, etc., into the new city.
Lisa, do you have a time frame that we're going to have a budget, like maybe next month?
Yes.
Do you think for our meeting for a presentation with Pell and that here?
I don't think we'll have it ready for the 9th, but we were planning on doing a presentation on the 9th for where we are this year.
Mhm.
I don't think we'll have a 2026 budget until the end of the month. Once they come, go over what Terry and I are putting together. It's a lot, so.
Yeah.
But I'm really hopeful that we have a good draft by the end of June and can have, HRG is working on those rate studies. I think we've got them everything they need now. So we should also know water and sewer information by pretty quickly so that we can get those budgets all put together for the end of June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the consent.
A motion to get to, on the consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
Properly moved second. Any questions on the motion? Vote on the motion.
Abbott,
Yes.
Auguste, Brumbaugh.
Yes.
Spears.
Yes.
Deeds.
Yes.
Gelfen.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Malaka.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Correspondence from the Planning Commission.
Oh, we talked about this briefly at the last Monday meeting. The Planning Commission had responded to the city's request to review certain ordinances. I'm just following up and putting this on the joint board agenda for everyone's edification. But the city's decision at the last meeting was to move forward with directing the solicitor to update one ordinance and refer the others over to general code to incorporate. So to answer your question about the e-bikes, I don't know the legal answer as to whether Treasure Lake as a kind of independent organization would, it's essentially it's private property, so I'm not sure if the ordinance actually would affect them. But what I can tell you is that all of that has been referred over to general code to incorporate into the new city ordinances.
Yeah, I guess you know as much as I do. When do certain ordinances interact, and we have to follow, and other ones don't. So you're not sure on this one until after you go through sales.
More or less.
Special presentation, community days.
Hi, everybody. You all know me. I'm Rick Zerziga. I'm representing the...
Would you mind getting close to the mic so they can hear?
I'm Rick Zerziga. I'm representing the fire department for the Community Days Fireman's Parade. On Friday, June 13th and Saturday, June 14th, the DuBois Volunteer Fire Department, in partnership for the first time ever with the Sandy Township Fire Companies, will proudly present the 32nd Annual DuBois Community Days Festival in the Park and the annual Fireman's Parade. This year marks a historic collaboration as DuBois and Sandy Township join forces to bring the community this wonderful event. So, I'd like to remind everybody that unlike other fundraisers, every dollar we raise goes directly into the community days and the parade. So if there's any left over, then that goes into the pot to start next year's community days. So I'll give you a quick update. The parade committee, which is about 15 to 18 guys and gals, has come up with quite a community days this year. The park will be probably over full, so we're not sure where we're going to stuff everything. Some of the highlights is the TEDE Foundation will have their accessibility vehicle there. The Downtown DuBois will have a bingo tent. The DuBois United Way and the YMCA will have their Impact 801 mural project. The Invictus will have their Wonderland there. Turnabout Boxing will have boxing under the tent. What's big for this year, the VAU Memorial Veterans Traveling Wall will come to DuBois. So that's a pretty big event. Also, the music is a combination of out-of-town and local bands on the main stage. Of course, there'll be wandering magicians, balloon makers, face painters, jugglers, that whole kind of thing. And of course, the spectacular Saturday night fireworks, which we would like to thank the DuBois City Council and the Sandy Township Supervisors for that. Starlight will be putting that on, and it's going to be glorious. So anyhow, in the Fireman's Parade, we have started something new. And instead of a celebrity being the Grand Marshal, as in past, such as a sports figure or someone off the TV, we're starting to do something with members of the community that are outstanding in our mind. So I'd like to announce tonight that the Grand Marshal this year for the DuBois Fireman's Parade is Dr. Mary Ann Conyer. So a lot of people, so she'll be up front, I'm sure, waving to everybody, and so the bio release on her will be coming shortly. So will all the press releases on complete full entertainment times and everything, but this couldn't happen without the generosity of the residents of this area for donations. The businesses around here stepping up with sponsorship money. Everything is coming together pretty nicely, and hopefully somebody does a reverse rain dance, so we'll have a drought that weekend. So, but that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, we are still looking for a few nonprofit organizations that would like to put a float in the parade. The floats we have some, but it's a little down, but I understand that volunteers are tough in every aspect. But other than that, everything looks pretty good. Anything else? Everything all right? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. With no unfinished business, we'll move on to new business joint. Authorization to bid excess properties. Ben?
There's a team of us that are working to figure out what properties need to get transferred over to the new city's name. And during that discussion, we found that there were several that we thought we could just avoid. We didn't think that the new city necessarily needed. And so we would kind of like side lots and such that maybe we could get rid of while Sandy Township was still independent and able to do that. And then there are a couple properties that we were looking at and thinking maybe now would just be a good time to sell them too. And so we've compiled at least a preliminary list here, which the main one of interest in Sandy Township would be known as the Riesinger property. It's on Oklahoma Salem, and it's a buildable lot / has a house on it and such. And so I wanted to have a discussion about the possibility of selling that. Again, it could, it could be some good revenue for the township and the city going forward. But I wanted to open it up for a quick discussion with the joint board about that property specifically, if you're willing to. And I think the upshot would be, my recommendation would be, can we float selling it? You could deny any bids and that kind of thing, but, is that something that would be of interest enough that we could take the next steps in looking into selling it?
And the only way we can sell property is to put it out for bid?
Yeah.
How does that advertised? Can you do it on the MLS list?
Well, you technically could.
We have to have it appraised as well, though.
So, yes, we really should have it appraised.
And
So-
I think second-class township code requires that we have it appraised.
It very well may. And additionally, I really probably would like to hire, given the significance of the property, I think that we should consider hiring a realtor to manage the whole thing too.
Yeah, because the problem I see is not enough people knowing about it and not getting the right bids. It needs to be advertised very well.
Well, obviously, we don't have to sell anything, even if they do put a bid in on it, but kind of setting a price, getting a value of it, like you were saying there, I think is very, very important to, establish that, and then, see if it's really worth it. And then the properties on the property on the V-Line Highway, so there were two separate parcels at one time. Were they joined together?
Don't know.
It'll be under the city.
What's that?
Yeah, it's
The
down.
city property out there on Beeline.
Yeah, where the fire hydrant is?
Yeah.
I always thought that was two parcels, because I know one was one owner, one was another owner before.
Isn't that
Now I
split
see
by
it's
a
one
right-of-way
parcel
back
now.
to Aqua?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it had something to do with Aqua.
I think there's a right-of-way between those two.
There is a
properties
right-of-way, yes.
To access
So
Aqua's.
there's just one of those parcels being sold? Because I thought there was actually two there.
Well, we'll do the deed research and figure it
Okay.
all out.
All right.
But that's the right property, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only property we have out there, I know that.
Yeah,
With the water line.
right. Okay, so Riesinger, I think that sounds weird. The property on Oklahoma.
We're selling the house?
Salem, yeah. It sounds like we could move forward with at least getting the appraisal, which is actually going to be part of the process that Lisa is already working through with industrial appraisal to get appraisals of all the properties.
Correct.
Yeah? Did you want to add more?
Do you want me to say anything about that?
Feel free.
So we're gathering up all the equipment, vehicles, properties, and sending them to an industrial appraisal for an insurance valuation for all the items for the new city, and also then for a fixed asset schedule for the new city. So
Yeah, so we will be getting an appraisal of all the properties
anything over
anyway.
$5,000 is the limit that we've set.
And I have nothing to do with the Reesinger property. Not even related. Way back, even before the township had it, wasn't related.
Okay, so we'll move forward with that one. There's a property that we were looking essentially to sell as a side lot. Actually, several of those. I assume there'll be no objection to that. The Oklahoma school parking lot is owned by the township. I assumed that that would just go without issue to the township. You can give to another municipal government like that. Yeah, other non-billables. Then there's this property over by Xylem, which we'd like to explore. Again, we would get valuations of those.
Is that Dock Street?
Is that Dock Street?
Dock Street
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old playground, yep. And then the Beeline Highway that Mr. Achenbaugh already raised. And then the parcels up on Coke Hill within that circle.
That was playground as well.
Any objections to moving forward? We will be getting them appraised, but
And they're just, it's just
this would be preliminary.
preliminary, yeah, we're not gonna. A motion on that?
Motion to move forward with appraisals?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion? Vote on the motion.
Abbott?
Yes.
Augenbaugh?
Yes.
Beers?
Yes.
Dietz?
Yes.
Gelfen?
Yes.
Jackson? Yes. Mollica?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Reesinger?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Appoint fire subcommittee co-chairs. Ben, you want to review that?
Sure. So the fire subcommittee was reactivated by the joint board a little over a year ago, and the fire chiefs were appointed as the chairs of that committee. It was something that I noted but didn't bother to bring up or care about, frankly. But the subcommittee recently asked that, as Chief Kelsey noted, that Mr. Runyon, since he is going to be on the fire task force, not be the co-chair. And so that brought up the whole issue of, well, then who is supposed to be the chairs? And there seems to be enough of a difference of opinion that I thought it needed to come before the board in order to make a decision. So this fire subcommittee is recommending that Deputy Chief Urin be appointed, so that would be Mr. Federici and Urin as the co-chairs. I know the documented understanding that it was supposed to be the fire chief's ex officio. So we have documentation on that was the original intent. So whoever the current fire chiefs are supposed to be that. But of course now we have this task force, so it really needs to come back to the board in order to decide what do you want to do. So I think your options are, number one, leave it as it is, which would mean Chief Runyon, former Chief Federici would remain the co-chairs. Option B would be just state it is going to be the current chiefs, whoever that is, which would be, in this case, Runyon and Kelsey, but if they were hit by a bus or whatever, whoever their successor would be the chair.
Sorry. Stay in the crosswalk.
Don't go on Brady. So, or you could really do something completely different. I mean, it really is up to this board. But I think now that the subcommittee has asked for clarity or asked for a new appointment, we do need to deal with what was the intent and what do you want to do going forward. I'll offer a minor thought, which is that the point of the fire task force is to act as kind of the conduit to the subcommittee, to the joint board. And so I'm viewing it almost like there's the 10 group, this 10 board, right? There's the fire subcommittee, and the task force is kind of supposed to be the thing in between them. So to me, it makes sense to have the fire chiefs be the hinge of the two, just because they're the leaders of the fire departments, and they are they are the emissary to this board. So, but I mean, I think that it works either way. The subcommittee is working great together. I mean, clearly they're creating proposals and such. So it's not like there's a problem that really needs to be fixed, except that they asked for a different co-chair. So
And a
it's up to the
question.
board.
I have a question.
Yep, I'm sorry. Did the 9-member vote to implement the deputy chief with Mr. Federici? Did they have a vote on that? When
No.
you guys discussed it, when Jason went on to become on the task force, did you guys discuss putting Mr. Yearn
Yeah,
on
that was the recommendation from the subcommittee.
from the subcommittee?
Yes.
Okay. And all 9 companies were there, and they
Yes.
didn't have no issue?
No, I think that passed unanimously, but
Okay,
correctly.
okay.
However, if I may say so, when we formed the fire subcommittee, I presented a letter to the board asking to be the co-chair. You all appointed me. So in my opinion, the fire subcommittee should not be able to have me removed just because I got put on another committee. That really should come from the board, or it should come from me deciding not to do that.
Do you want to stay on? Do you want to stay on?
Yes.
I'd make that motion.
It's, your thinking is that it'd be nice to have the two current chiefs on the fire subcommittee as well
I can't make
as
a
the
motion, can
task force.
I don't really care, but because again, this doesn't seem like it's a significant problem. But yes, I suppose all things equal, that is what I would recommend. And yes, you can make a motion. This
I?
is
I mean,
the
if
joint
If
board.
the man wants to serve, I'd say let the man serve. He's already on there, it was his idea.
For me as a task force member, I think it would be, to Ben's point, preferable to have the chiefs, both chiefs as task force members and co-chairs of the subcommittee, so we have less games of telephone going on, getting messages from the subcommittee to the task force, to the joint board, and vice versa. That's my opinion.
Is that a motion?
That's not a motion, that's my opinion.
Okay.
But
I'd like to have a discussion on that before we
Go right ahead.
So the discussion is a recommendation from the committees. And I think one of the stances I took was, you guys bring your recommendation back to us. You're the experts. And, that's what I'm going to take from here. So, Jason, is that the recommendation of the full committee? I mean, I understand your stance, you want to stay, but I go back to the committee and say, is this what you're bringing to us, that you want to make that change? And how do you agree with that, chief? Either chief, speak up.
I don't have anything in it because it's not a voting position anyway, in my mind. I understand Chief Federici's point of view, like he's been on the committee from the beginning, so I assume he wants to see it through and remain on as the chair, as the co-chair. But yeah, since it was appointed by the joint board has to decide.
Chief Federici, do you have something, a comment on that?
I'm at the mercy of the board. I'll continue to fill the positions and continue to work like I did for the past several years. Even before that committee was appointed, I was on the previous committee. So I've been involved in this from the inception of it. I would like to see it through as a all possible.
So do we have a recommendation then from the fire committee, or I'll defer to your recommendation? I'd like a firm recommendation from our guys.
Yeah, I mean, the committee ask is that replace Jason with Assistant Chief Urine and leave Mike as the co-chair. That was their request.
I'm also of the opinion that the joint board approved the setup of the subcommittee as the chiefs for a reason. We're already departing from that precedent without approval of the joint board. Chief Kelsey should now be the co-chair of that committee, as he's the chief now, and former Chief Federici is no longer the chief, so he should have stepped down. Chief Kelsey should have stepped up. The decision-making of changes to the subcommittee come from the joint board, not from the subcommittee itself. So my motion is that the co-chairs of the fire subcommittee should be Jason Runyon and Chief Kelsey.
You a second on that?
I will second that.
Properly moved second. Any questions on the motion? Sorry. Properly moved. Any questions on the motion?
I'd like,
No, I'm sorry. This is a board motion. You don't have a voice.
I think you're, like, we brought that to you in
What?
January.
No, I'm sorry. We can't hear from you at this time.
I think you need to let him speak. He was in part of the conversation right before the motion.
He had a chance
Should
to
hear
speak.
about it.
He had a chance to speak.
Then he put his hand back up.
The motions were made. We're going to vote on the motion.
This is just crazy.
Vote on the motion?
Abbott,
Yes.
Augenbaum,
No.
Pierce,
No.
Deeds,
No.
Gelfand,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Malika,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Reesinger,
Yes.
passed.
Approval to advise or advertise for line painting bids. Scott?
It's a yearly event. This will cover all the crosswalk painting, the dividing lines on the city and the township side roads. It's not the state roads. They come through and do the main painting like that, but we have a lot of parking spaces, crosswalks, and it's just regular line painting that you see everywhere.
Need a motion on that?
Motion to advertise for proposals for line painting.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion? Vote on the motion.
Abbott.
Yes.
Augenbaum.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Deeds,
Yes.
Gelfand,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Malika.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Reesinger.
Yes. Can we do this? Oh, no, we can't. Okay. Pool chemical bid.
Again,
Same thing.
yearly is for the
Yes.
swimming pool and the chemicals we use.
You could do a voice vote, though, if you wanted. That would shorten it.
Yeah, let's do that. You have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Charge cards. Lisa?
Yes, we have engaged with a company called Ramp to consider using them for credit cards for our staff. Currently, our staff has to pay for items out of their own pocket and then wait for a reimbursement, and I do not agree with that. So we have gotten a quote from Ramp to do credit card purchasing through them that has a lot of controls that we can put in place as far as spending limits, where you can spend, how you can spend, what things, items, even items down to the very item that you can spend on. They also have an AP module that we're looking at, and it's about $1,500 a year to engage with them. We will have to go through their underwriting process, so it's not a given, but we wanted your approval to move forward with that project.
Question, Lisa, how many credit cards you looking at?
We don't have that yet. We're going to also put a policy together based on who should get one, which is going to be mostly department heads, but also some of the police officers when they're traveling. I just don't want people spending money out of their own pocket. And then we can load cards for individuals. They can actually have the card on their phone. They don't have to have the card in hand. And so, and then we'll put spending limits on that all in a policy, and the policy will come as we're moving through this process.
Can you please, when you get the guidelines and that, and all your guide rails to set up,
Yeah.
so we don't have no abuses
Absolutely.
anything down the road.
Yep.
And can somebody have one and maybe it's not on, but you turn it on for a certain period of time?
Yes.
Like they go out of town or something like that?
Yep, they can get loaded. We have complete control over setting all of that up, and it can be done in real time.
Did you mention the checks too? I mean, that it could cut down on our checks?
Yeah, as we engage in the AP process with them, then we will be paying through ACH. Right now, we're writing a lot of checks. I don't even know how many, but we can ask Mr. Volpe how his hand hurts after signing. And so we will also engage with them with AP process. We don't have that policy in place yet either, but it will also be cheaper. It costs about $7 to write a check. And if we can, we are having a heck of a time with checks getting to places through the mail system. So it will also cut down on that time that people are waiting to be paid from us. Any other questions?
Motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion?
Question, are we in city business?
Oh, you're right.
Oh, you're right, we are. We are in city business now.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did we just throw in city business?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
That's okay, sir. That's okay.
I say aye then too.
Thanks, Barry.
No problem.
No, not till next year, Barry.
Okay, no problem.
Who's doing this?
Scott, do you know much about the agility agreement? Can you find out?
Basically what that is, up on Highland Street, where the old Highland Street School is, there's probably about 100 feet of road where we both turn around at the same spot. And for PennDOT to not turn around where they're turning around, they'd have to come in to Tozier and Highland and try to turn around in that intersection with one of their big trucks. So in years past, they've always turned around on Highland Street, and we've maintained that section of road out to Highland Street for them. It just makes it safer for everybody, because our trucks are going out there to turn around anyhow.
Right, so you just keep the blade down.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's several of those agreements. It's just they come up at different times and that.
Sure.
And this one's come up this year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Greenways Trails Recreation Program Grant. Lisa?
This is a housekeeping issue. We have applied for a grant through the Greenways Trails and Recreation Program for $137,080 for ADA playground resurfacing for the playground that is over by the pool. And that grant requires this resolution, knowing that the board is allowing this grant to be submitted.
Motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion?
Is that the playground in front of the new playground? Because there's two playgrounds right next to the pool, and the one's brand new.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to assume it's probably the other one.
It's okay.
Thanks, Sue. Go ahead.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Wolf Creek Multimodal Grant. Lisa?
Yes, we are in a really cool project with PennDOT for Wolf Creek Run Trail Design. And that grant with them is there's no match, and it's $500,000. And so we started that kickoff about a month ago. And then this is
That's what we like.
an application to the multimodal for $855,302.75 for construction for that project. And it takes about a year to get an answer, so we would like to put this application in now to see if we can come up with construction funds for that project. Any questions?
Is that the connection from like Du Bois to Falls Creek?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, that's pretty confident there. Okay. Motion on that?
Motion.
Second?
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Change order, city building change order to the front entry. Lisa?
are asking you to review a change order for the main entrance. Part of the project was taking out the ramp in front of the city building, but then when Scott got over there and was talking to the contractors, he felt that there was some problems with those front steps and the ice that ice is created. And so we have a change order for $17,261.50 to do the whole front. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the concrete in the front's falling pretty bad. If we go another winter without doing anything to it, we're gonna look pretty foolish after that project's done. And next thing you know, you're jackhammering the whole front of City Hall back up, and people can't have access. So now is just the best time to do that, because the ramp was part of the original project, but the way it tied in the sidewalk, everything, it's the right thing to do.
Are they fixing that wall also?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
wall
pretty
that was
bad.
on the outside of the ramp, it's actually gone if you go up by now.
You're just gonna put a railing?
No, I believe the wall goes
Back up.
in with the original design.
That'll look nice.
But the way it ties into the stairs and the way the stairs is folded and the status of the railing going up, it's just safer and we won't be tearing it up next year.
Do they put cure seal on that when they put?
When they're done, they will seal the concrete.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second. Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion?
That's a city person should second it.
Did we get a city second? Okay. Now properly moved and seconded.
Thanks for your enthusiasm.
Green cheese.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have another change order?
Yes.
Yes, I see it.
We have another change order. There is a electric service that they found underground, a bank. Do you want to talk about it?
So originally, when they did this, the electric wasn't going where they thought it was going. It's actually in a bank in the way it went underground under the old building, and it's encased in concrete. It's completely interfering with the project and with what we're trying to do with the building and everything. That has to be removed, so we're going to have kind of like put a temporary service in to feed power there, because we do have the police working out of there and other things going on. So for them to remove that, we'll put the temporary service in to bypass all that so they can get in there and tear that out, because right now they're kind of at a standstill as far as the footers and everything goes with that being underground. It was a surprise. It was not where they thought it was supposed to be. The usual things that happen when you're trying to do something.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Make that motion.
It's a city one, Barry.
Barry.
Barry, love your enthusiasm.
Hey, we'll let you know, Barry.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, no problem. First we vote on city, then we don't.
The cost is
This is the last one of the Du Bois.
$16,705.
How much?
$16,705.
You should be doing it.
Motion to approve?
Properly moved and second. Any questions on the motion? Vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye. Well, we won't mess with you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Now, I'm going to announce this. This is new business. We're switching to the township. New business for the township.
Okay, first item is a lot consolidation, Treasure Lake, Section 6, lots 44 and 45.
And this will just be for permission to advertise for a public hearing for the next township meeting. This was just recommended for approval from planning commission yesterday. So with the payment of Treasure Lake, we go to a public hearing before the next meeting. So we'll vote on that later.
Number 2 is a zoning request from CKM. We had a public hearing earlier this evening, right here. That is Christ the King Manor asking to rezone a parcel of land from residential to institutional. That will be voted on at the township meeting later this evening. Next, we have a change order for the Sandy Township building.
Did you get two?
No, I think we only have one.
Just one.
That was for removing some older windows and blocking them in which we felt we didn't need because it will be for records storage. Ben, what else was on that?
Window removal that you talked about,
The rework of all that,
The soffit around the building, when that went out for bid, the architect had missed that they needed to do some framing behind that soffit to support the new building materials. I think that's everything.
That's a few change orders.
it's kind of 2 in 1.
Two-
Yeah, sure
two of
is.
one.
Yeah.
That will be voted on later this evening at the Sandy Township Building. Uh-oh.
Then the last thing is the zoning map.
That's just the ordinance that we changed on that.
That's it for Sandy Township.
Closing, we have Dave, public comment.
Yeah, Dave Lombardo, Treasure Lake. Couple things. We had like a tax committee a long while back. We were putting something together. Not sure what the official name was now. They were going to look at taxing structure or something, finances. Is that still going on? What's the status on that?
Dell's doing that for us. We have a consultant doing that.
So we're working through the consulting.
Yes, and and they're taking their good old time, and we should have it already, we don't.
Okay.
We wanted it before this.
There's going to be a report.
Yes.
I guess my concern has always been we were promised the same or possibly lower tax base once we consolidate.
And we can't answer that right now, we'll wait for the report.
Okay. The other thing was on the ordinance committee. A couple meetings ago, you chose not to answer a very simple question. If we were going to use, I think we're using a two-tiered system of volunteer committee. Is in effect. Can you answer that now? We have an ordinance.
When general code is ready to have the citizens comment group, I guess I'll call it, then this board will vote officially to reactivate that old committee. Yes,
So,
that has not happened
I just
yet.
want to make sure my name is still out there. You have to volunteer.
I-
Still interested.
I do still have your name, and in a future meeting, maybe June, maybe as early as June, the joint board would reactivate that committee.
And I don't know if I'm even allowed to say anything about water council or anything like that. Is that appropriate?
If it is germane to the current city, the current township, or the future city, then you may.
I can announce I'm a candidate.
You may if you wish.
Oh, okay, I just didn't want to get out of whack, I just wanted to say congratulations to those that went through the Democratic and Republican process. I'm running under no party, known as independents, so I'll be running in the November election. All the stuff is submitted, except that it's stopped, it's fine, let folks know. If you have any questions, you're on.
Thanks. Board member comments. Jen?
Great election. Congratulations to everybody and moving forward. It's great.
Kind of same thing, it's nice to see that many people taking an interest in it, with the new city and everything else like that, so congratulations to every one of those that are moving forward, congratulate them for, even, taking the time to get the petitions and everything else like that. I know it's some work and the signs, you spend some money, been there, done that, so I appreciate all that. And also I'd like to commend the fire department. I mean, thinking about this where, we just talked about, the consolidation, what we kind of wanted to do, and the fire department gets together. And 5 companies agreed that they would try to consolidate into one. And I think that speaks volumes for the kind of people that are running our fire departments. So I applaud all of them. That's all I have.
Elliot?
Yeah, thanks to all the firemen that came out at the bottom of Scribner the other day. We had a tree down, took out a power pole. I didn't have power. Our neighborhood didn't have power. They were out there pretty quickly. All the Penelec linemen were out there pretty quickly. We had power back within about an hour and a half, which was awesome. So thank you everybody that came out to that incident. Congrats to everybody. I know it was a stressful night last night for everyone, so glad results came in, and looking forward to seeing what everyone does with the city starting in 2026 as we, some of us pass the torch on to the next group. So thank you for wanting to help move the city forward. Penn State Du Bois. We're sitting in Penn State Du Bois. The Board of Trustees is meeting on the 22nd, so there's still maybe a day to get in touch with them. You can find their emails on my Facebook posts online to reach out to them and make it known that we really value Penn State Du Bois, and it would be a huge loss to the community if it were to close down. So I appreciate anybody that could take the time to reach out and support Penn State Du Bois. That's it for me.
Yeah, just quickly wanted to thank everyone in the community that took time yesterday to get out and vote. Had a decent or good turnout. Thank you.
I'll just reiterate what Jimmy had to say. Kudos to the fire subcommittee. Anytime we can bring 5 stations together under one roof, I think that's a huge step forward for the fire service. Wanted to thank Mr. Zerziga for his presentation on the community days. Sounds like you guys have things in hand, and sounds like a really great lineup.
Barry? Elliot, you touched on a very important point for our community. That was the possible closure of Penn State. And I'd like to commend you in front of everybody and anybody that's listening for your editorial that you wrote in the Courier Express. I thought it was wonderful. It hit the points. And I know there are some of us that have spoken about the closure of Penn State. I know Sam has done that, and I know I have spoken to those types of people via emails. But Elliot, your letter hit it right on the head, and I really appreciate what you wrote. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And, I like what Mark said. I think it's commendable that our 5 fire companies, I think it's out in the southern side, are joining forces and moving our city forward. Hang in there. 2026 is going to be full of all kinds of things that are going to happen for our new city. And I'd like to commend Ben and Lisa for their leadership moving us forward as well. Thank you.
Sam?
Yeah, I want to reiterate what Barry said about Elliot, and also that from day one, Barry and I and the rest of the supervisors have been in contact with our contacts down in University Park, where our contacts have basically daily contact with the president and many of the other end-to-end people down there. And I'm not sure if it's going to help us, but they're doing their best trying to make sure there's a possible better solution than what's going to happen with Penn State closing. And also the fire companies coming together. That's what we wanted to happen was to have the fire companies find their own solution, and it was never about us telling the fire companies what to do. I was thrilled when I saw that letter that they had taken it upon themselves to come up with a solution that would save much money in the long run.
Bill?
Yeah, I just want to touch on the 5 fire companies. I think it's phenomenal. The 5 fire companies did this within 6 weeks. They took out the politics. They looked out for our community. moving forward. And I just want to, just deepest of my heart, because one of my own companies, that we all sat down and everybody had different opinions, but we all come to one common goal, and it's for our new city to be better, more efficient, and to help our community grow, that they don't have a big tax burden from our new fire department moving forward. And it's kudos to the 5 companies coming together. It's phenomenal. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's great what the firemen did. It's time for us to get to work and find some money to build what they need. I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
All right.